All right, welcome back to another Saturday. What are we up to in the shop day? Oh my goodness, we got a lot of stuff going on in here today. Now, let's go over here to this guy first. This guy is all done, and I decided to put some shelf pins in it. I've got some handles here on the top. The doors have got a little warp in them. That's aggravating me. We got a hasp down here that we can lock this up with. You open it up so you can see inside. You can see that I put the shelf pins in there. Now, I don't have a shelf pin jig, but if you come over here to this mess, I 3D printed this thing right here that I used as a shelf pin guide. Basically, drill the first hole, drill the last hole, take a 1/4-inch bit and put it in each side, then pull the top one out, leaving the bottom one in, and you just like that. And you keep walking it down the board. And that's how I did those guys over there. Pretty slick, huh? Well, maybe, maybe not. It's not perfect, but it is a barn dobe, and I'm not really concerned about having it be all that perfect. Let me get this here thing arranged. There. All right, what else have we got going on? So I have this package here of these things. I'm not supported by these guys, or sponsored, I should say. But I have found another use for these. We got wood bees in the shop, and if you take this thing, it makes a beautiful fly swatter. See here. All right, fly swatter it is. Now, I also have this big old hunk of maple that I glued back together. It was, well, look at the end and you can see that it was roughly 1.5 inch square pieces. I ran them through the drum sander over there, and I've got them all glued together. Obviously, I'm going to make this thing into a cutting board, but as you look around the table, you can see some black walnut here. You can see some sapelli here, and you can see some purple heart here. So the question is, what am I going to do with all that wood with that cutting board? Obviously, I'm going to make an inlay, but the inlay is going to be unique, and it's going to be a multicolored inlay this time. Am I going to video it? I don't know. I'll leave it up to y'all again. If you want it videotaped, let me know in the comments below. If you want to see it when it's in process or when it's done, we'll get at it. The thing I was working on last week, I asked you about the puzzle bookshelf thing. That's complete. I'll put a picture of it up here or here somewhere. I am going to try and knock out the video for that, as you guys asked for, tomorrow. If not, it'll definitely be out next week. This is Easter weekend. I don't know if anybody's going to be watching YouTube this weekend or not, but if you will, if you are, go to the channel, check out that bookshelf. It's pretty cool. James was pretty excited about it. He thought it was a jungle gym, not a bookshelf. We had to hide it until he got it home and let his mother fill it up with books. I can put a picture of that up here if I haven't already done so. What else? A while back, I made this cutting board, or chessboard, not cutting board. And you can see that it's epoxy with zebra wood. When I poured the epoxy, I learned a hard lesson, but it actually worked out in my favor. I poured the silver, and then I said, well, I want to pour some pink in the center of it and swirl the pink. Well, it actually behaved like hard-boiled eggs, almost. Kind of works out for me in the end, though, because if you hold it up to the light, let me see if I can pull this off. You can see that it gives it a pretty cool effect through the chessboard. So I've got some LEDs that I'm going to put on the back side of it. I'm going to frame it out and make it into a lit or lighted chessboard. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. If we move over here, I got this one in process or process that I started. You can see that these guys are still up. I'm going to need to finish this off probably on the CNC to get it nice and flat, and then I'll pour a top coat over the top of that, and we'll have a nice chessboard for there too. I've had these things sitting in the house for months. I just tripped over them the other day, and I'm like, why don't I do something with them? why don't I make them into something instead of letting them just sit around? I do have a little bit of that. I don't know if it's the male gene or if it's just the ADD gene or what it is, but I do have a little bit of start a project and get bored with it, so move on to the next thing. That's what this is. Start a project, get bored with it, and move on to the next thing. So when I do make something for somebody, there's oftentimes it takes me a lot of concentration to complete it. You know, this guy here took me a little bit to complete it because I was really starting to get bored with it in the end. I get all wound up. I call it the bottle rocket effect. It's where you get all excited about something and then you quickly taper off and want to do something else. I have a pet peeve here in the shop. Part of it is all the dust and the dirt around here is driving me crazy. So I'm thinking that this is going to turn into, one weekend here, it's going to turn into a huge cleanup renovation of this shop. I've got a Carveco XXL over there in the corner under that tarp. There's also a orbital sander, and there's a welder over there. The Carveco has become basically a bookshelf or a shelf to put stuff on, so that's kind of a wasted corner at this point. I've got more wood in here than I'll possibly ever need. And then if we come over here to this guy right here, this has become my nemesis or bane of existence over here. When I come over to this shelf, I'm typically grabbing one of these guys here. Not sponsored by those screws. I just get them off of Amazon because they're relatively affordable. The cost of those is not nearly as much as when you go to the blue store or the orange store where they line those screws with gold. If you didn't know that, that's why they're so expensive. And the other thing they like to do, let me see if I have one of their packages over here. I don't want to turn this into a complain session, but this is one of their packages. Let me turn this, I'll put it over here so it's easier to show you. So this is one of their packages, and they tell you it's X amount of screws, and they fill it to about there. They put it in a big package to make it look like you're getting a tremendous amount of screws. These are not the screws that came in this box. Those were special ordered off of Amazon too. They are 1 inch with square heads. I would like every screw in the shop to have a square head on it, but unfortunately they don't. Another thing I wanted to show y'all, remember last week I told you I got tricked by Temu? This is one of the things that I got tricked by, thinking that I had credit when I didn't. But I will say, it's a noisy little booger and it vibrates quite a little bit, but for basic stuff like flush trimming with a flush trim bit, I'm gonna leave that flush trim bit right in there, and then I won't have to keep changing it back and forth. I'll use the Makita for the delicate stuff that I need to accomplish. I think I showed you these guys before. I modified my clamp rack to hold my pipe clamps and my Bessie clamps, the tall ones. Over here, if you look, this is where I had them stored, and I was having difficulty one day getting them off, and my temper got the best of me, and that's what happened to the keeper. So, yes, in the Hinkle shop, Vernon sometimes loses his temper, and then he has to fix things. So, regardless of that, we've got the clamp rack, which is a better option anyway. I highly recommend y'all build yourself a rolling clamp rack and stop storing your clamps on the wall. It's a waste of time. Just put them in the clamp rack. I know this looks like a menagerie, but all my clamps are there. My glue is there. Everything is there that I need. I told you last week that I was going to start using the rotary on the Acmer. I dug that all out yesterday, and I started to look at it. Yesterday was Good Friday, so we had yesterday off. And I'm missing a cable, and it's probably my fault. I probably threw it away or put it in a place where I wouldn't lose it, and I lost it. So I've reached back out to Acmer and asked them to send me that one cable. That's all I'm looking for. And then I can start working on that video of the rotary. which I'm pretty excited about, because if I can pull off what I'm thinking of on that thing, it's going to be a cool project. Going to have lights involved, etc., etc. It'll be pretty cool when it's done. I also have these guys here, these boxes, these old boxes, and I think I've asked this question once before. Give me an idea of what to do with them, what to turn them into. They were a relative of mine that's passed away now. They were not my father's, but a relative that passed away, and I want to do something special with those. Maybe I never told you this one before, but that bench up there that's up there on the top of the wall, my father made that. And it was basically a challenge to him. He was a woodworker, for those that don't know, those of you that do. And I said to him, build me a church pew. And I just kind of said it half joking and half serious. And he called me about a week later or so, and he said, come and get your church pew. And that's what he had made, a full-size church pew. And it was okay when we had the house in New York. It was bigger than the house we had now. I had that right in the house. It was pretty cool. So that's up there. If anybody ever wanted to know why in the world do you have that church pew up on that shelf, it's because it's a tribute to my father. And when I'm working in this shop, I got my father up there. If you look right here, I'm hoping I've got it so you can see it. That old saw was my grandfather's. My grandfather was also a woodworker for over 30 years. He was a finish carpenter. He used to do things by hand with a handsaw that most people can't do with one of these guys. So that's the name of that tune. Now, I thought Lisa might come out here today. James is actually with his parents, and they're going on a trip to West Virginia. But I think Lisa's on the phone right now with our oldest son, Jeremy Moyer. James's uncle, obviously. And we have 5 children between the two of us. So if James isn't around, the telephone calls are one right after the other. You know, Jeremy, Eric, Kayla, Dylan, Danielle, all of them call one right after the other. Dylan, if I didn't say Dylan, Jacob, he usually comes over and bums a meal. But yeah, that I've got 5 children between Lisa and I. Jacob, Danielle, Eric, Dylan, and Jeremy. And Eric is the only one that doesn't have children. I don't know if he will have children, but when they all get together, it's a menagerie at the Hinkle shop and the Hinkle household. But we love them all, and it's great. The 15th of April is going to be a very special day, and I want to say to Lisa how much I love you, Lisa. Lisa and I will be married 20 years on April 15th. So to my wife, who has stood by me for so long through the whole 20 years YouTube journey, we've done all kinds of practical jokes on people and all kinds of things to make our lives something memorable and special. She writes me letters from time to time, and I truly appreciate those. I love her with all my heart. With that, I'm going to sign off with this one. Give me a like, share, and subscribe. As always, thanks for the support, and we'll catch you on the next one.